Hello, and welcome to What's Your Story? I have another interesting guest for you today from Anchorage, Alaska. Her name is Carmen Benton, and Carmen is the Chief Empowerment Officer of her company. What does that mean, Carmen? Chief Empowerment Officer.
Hi, Judy. Thank you for having me in the show. First of all, this is a term I actually made up myself when I was a corporate executive, because I feel that especially women in the corporate area don't have enough people cheering for them on the side.
Exactly. Yes.
And I have made it in my coaching career my mission to be that person for my clients, right? To be make sure that they have someone on their side who is pushing them, who knows that they can achieve anything they want. So basically, I'm just that cheerleader for them.
I love it. Well, you're an executive and leadership coach, and you're retired from a corporate environment. You were there for years. And also, you're a renowned master mindset and energy coach. Wow. I mean, that's a lot of different things to be coaching, right? So, with your extensive experience, how do you empower women to thrive and to reach their next level in their lives and relationships?
Yes, that's a very, very good question. So I use all the modalities that I have at my disposal, and that 25 plus years of corporate experience gave me to help my clients achieve the next level of their lives. And so the mindset aspect helps me tap into the subconscious mind to make sure that we are removing the blocks that are there, keeping you stuck, right? We all have some event in our life. We can call it trauma. We can call it an emotionally charged event that define who we are today. And there's ways to get to it through mindset techniques that are pretty much mainstream at this point. But then in my own journey, I realized that something was missing. And that missing is energy. And we don't have to get woo-woo with that, but it's the fact and understanding that we are all connected through how we show up in life. And even while I was still a corporate executive, when I started, let's say, playing with intention and, how I wanted to impact someone else and play with that frequency and vibration, the outcomes that I would get with my teams, with my peers, with my leaders, with my customers, totally changed. And so that's where the energy component comes to it. And then I also feel like, we all have a soul's purpose, and that could be a little bit, over market. But I feel that when you live with your values, which is, what we came here to do in this life, and you can be in any career and be living your soul purpose, then you are more impactful to the world. And then that's what allows you to be able to go and achieve all the goals you want. So those are the modalities I combine, in my practice to help people really tap into that next level.
Yes, yes. I noticed when I was reading your bio that you said there was a point in this corporate environment where you just got burned out. And I know I've done that, and I'm sure a lot of the other people that are watching us today have had that burnout period. What did that feel like for you, and how did you get past that?
Yes, so it was very interesting because, again, it was all this unresolved turmoil that I had in me and didn't even know existed, didn't accept that there was anything to fix, that kept me driving towards the perfectionism, the overachievement, it became actually my drug of choice. Work became the thing that I did to feel better, to not think about those areas of me that I didn't want to look, right? And so it became unsustainable. And so I will work and I will get praise, and I was very good at it. So I will get promoted, I will get more money, and the cycle just keeps spinning out of control. So unfortunately, I didn't catch it until it was too late. I had hives, migraines every day, flaring ulcers in my stomach. And that was like manageable because I'm superwoman, right? But it wasn't until it started affecting my relationships with my loved ones that I had to really take 5 steps back and say, okay, there's something going on here, Carmen. This is not normal, right? And I had to like really be vulnerable with myself, have awareness of what was happening, and have a little bit of compassion.
Yes.
And that compassion is really what changed everything.
Yeah, yeah. And I think once you've been through something like this, it makes you a better coach, because then when you're dealing with other people, you can understand what they're experiencing.
Yes. And that's what I'm saying. The compassion actually changed everything, because I was always my worst critic, right? I could have been doing great, but great wasn't enough. But that, again, that's how I was coping with my emotional charge events from, when I was a little girl. Yeah. And so it's the showing up with compassion, not only for myself, but for whomever is in the other side of the camera, whoever is on the other side of the boardroom, because you don't know what is going on with their life, why they are getting triggered by something that, you're just doing because this is how you act, or this is how you talk, or this is how you dress, or this is how you smell. And so understanding all these things makes you be able to make connection with people in so many different levels. Mm-hmm. That is really a life-changing skill to have.
Oh, yes, I'm sure. Now, how do past traumatic experiences impact an individual's career success and their leadership style?
So I know you also have a history, a life in corporate, right? Do you ever sat on a table where someone was getting, upset about things that didn't make any sense, or they were always cranky or anger or mean, right?
Yes.
And what I have realized, I had one of those bosses way too many times. And when I realized after I went through my own journey that they had traumatic experiences that made them the person they are, right? Yeah. And so when you see people who, and this is the interesting thing, is like some people will overreact and some people underreact. And in fact, I just had a podcast interview in my own podcast where we're talking about the overachiever and the underachiever, because this is what happens. Some people can like try to cover it up by having, good qualities and shining and thriving. And some people will go the other way where, they can be totally the underdog. And so it's how you react to situations and how you tie that to something in your past that you haven't healed and addressed that can hinder, your ability to make money, your ability to grow in your corporate career, your ability to start a business.
That's very interesting. I find sometimes, you'll meet someone and they're just miserable, just nasty, miserable. And you have no idea because you didn't do anything to them. And they're just horrible. But as you say, it's something in their past that's affecting them and causing them to act like that. And they bring it to the surface. I think they don't know how to deal with it. They don't know how to put it aside. They don't know how to be more positive. Would you agree to that? Yeah,
that's what I call it, the unresolved trauma, right? Because it's something, and in many cases, you don't even know it's there until you start going in the path of healing. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden, it's like you open this Pandora box, right? But the other thing that used to happen to me is that I would take it personal. I'm like, oh my God, like, why am I doing wrong? Right? Yes. Why is this person so mean? Like, maybe they don't like me. And then I realized it had nothing to do with me. It has nothing to do with you. It has everything to do with them, what they're thinking, how they are processing emotions, and how they are showing up every day because they don't know how to do it any other way.
Right, right. And sometimes I think they just haven't had the proper upbringing.
Yes, there's that too.
As an energy coach, what do you do? What is your role as an energy coach?
So I was mentioning at the beginning that when I start diving into energy and saying, okay, let me experiment here. Like, I'm going to go into a meeting and there's going to be someone who's very toxic. Like in my last role, I had very toxic people around me. which was contributing to me trying to be even better and working out a lot. But when I was like, okay, let me see what I can do to control it. And so the first thing I will do is to set an intention with, energy, set an intention to the universe that I would have a good day, or I have a good meeting, or I will impact my client or my customer or my team in the best possible way. So intention is an energetic thing. Again, we don't have to get any, mysterious or woo with this, right? And the other thing will be to like protect myself, because I'm very sensitive to how people feel or how people are, what they are projecting out. Mm-hmm. And so just with, again, setting another intention that their bad vibration, their bad jujus are not going to affect me, that by itself is something that everyone can do and will totally change how your day goes.
Yes, I can see that. But sometimes I set the intention that I'm not going to let their energy affect me, and they just keep on and on and on and on until I have to get out of there, or else it is going to affect me. So would you recommend that if people have bad energy around you, just to get out of their space for a while? Or?
Yes. So leaving the space is the ultimate goal, right? Like, and I actually like to say, we're all humans, right? Like there's so much, even with the daily practice I do, there's so much I can withstand to like bad energy. But this is where with coaching, there's other things that we do. For instance, sacred geometry, right? Which is everywhere. You can imagine a sphere around you to protect you. You can imagine a triangle, right? Like people have different colors, different shapes. It's nothing like crazy. It's things that are everywhere. But like I notice if I wear, for example, black, like you're wearing today, you stand a little more in your power, and that repels a lot of energy out, versus when you are wearing white, you might be more you might be absorbing more of what's out. And it's just basic things that I teach my clients depending on their own sensitivity, because not everyone is very sensitive. But if you are very sensitive to other people's energies, there's things that you can do like that.
Yes. And what kinds of techniques or practices do you utilize to help people to enhance their overall well-being?
Yes. So we're talking about the energy, the intentions. Like one of the things I do every day in the morning is before I leave out, I leave my house, I cut any cords that I have gotten from, the day before, so I can show up in my own essence. Because we're interacting with everybody, right? And so sometimes someone just thought about you, and even that thought can like get attached to your energy, right? So cutting cords is something I do. Like if you have a meeting and you're saying like sometimes you have to leave because it's too much, leaving might not be enough. You might want to just imagine like it's just dissolving.
When you say cutting cords, what do you mean? What do you actually do? Is there a physical?
Yeah. So let's imagine like people have like tentacles, right, of energy, and as we interact with each other, we attach to each other, and it doesn't have to be a bad thing, right? Like your loved ones have cords attached to you.
Yes.
The same way the people who might not be your cheerleaders get cords attached to you, and those are the ones that you want to release, let go, right? So I would like to, with the water, when I'm showering, I like to imagine the water, it's just like dissolving them. And I literally said, okay, so all the cords from the day before can be dissolved now and washed away. So that's one, very easy thing to do, because you have to shower every day. So might as well multitask.
That's a very good thing, to actually imagine that you're washing away everything from before. I like that. I'm going to try that tomorrow morning.
Yeah, you'll be surprised. And grounding is great. Grounding also, it's very good to transmute, to let go of any bad, energetic imprint that you might have from people. And like I live in Alaska, right? So grounding, it's not easy, but if you live in a place where there is trees outside, you can just go outside, literally hug a tree. That's it. That it's so quick to do, right? But I have a grounding mat that I bought, in Amazon. It was like $100, and I just stand there, and I can feel how it really like pulls things out of my body.
So walking barefoot in the grass
Yes,
would be good.
absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And it helps with children. So my youngest son is he's autistic, and I don't know if you've heard that people with autism, they are full of energy and they stem a lot. And I have found that the STEM is really because he's absorbing energy from people, because it usually happens after he comes from school. So I always tell him when he gets a little hyper, it's like, oh, let's go run outside barefoot. And you think about the things that you used to do when you were a little girl, that you naturally knew to do to clear your energy. For me, I grew up in Panama. I was always on a beach. I was always walking barefoot everywhere. Like shoes were like, please don't bother me with that, right? And some people are like that. Some people like to climb trees. Some people like to just like sit still and meditate. So look back to when you were a child, and what were the things that you naturally like to do to like clear?
Yes. I used to spend all my time barefooted up in a tree, reading a book and eating an apple that I stole off the neighbor's tree. Yeah, that was my favorite thing to do. So that probably got me ready for this stressful life that I have now, right? So what's one thing that you would like the viewers to know, that you would like to leave the viewers with?
Yes, I had such a transformation in my life when I realized that there were things that I had to heal. And so awareness, right? Because I used to think that I was A-okay, perfect, right? I had a very successful career. I had pretty much everything I had myself to accomplish. But just having that awareness that we can always do better, right? And it doesn't have to be something traumatic, but we can always do better. So start with the awareness, then have compassion for yourself, right? Like treat yourself like you actually love yourself, because think about all the things that we tell ourselves on a daily basis. And if you would talk to somebody else the way you talk to yourself, you probably wouldn't have a lot of friends, right?
No.
So self-compassion, and I will say forgiveness. I have found that letting go of, resentment, anger, bad memories, it's one of the best things you can do, because when you are not living in forgiveness, when you're living in anger, you're stuck in the past. And it's almost like you have an anchor and it doesn't let you go forward in life. So if you want to be more, be happier, live a fulfilling life, the best way is to cut those chains. And with healing and forgiveness is the first giant step towards that goal.
One of the hard things, I think, for a lot of people, including me, is forgiving myself. I'm much better at forgiving someone else than I am, because I should have known better. I should have done better. I could have been better. And that's the hard thing. How do we get to that point of where we say it's okay and forgive ourselves?
Yes. And so in my journey, one of the things I did is I started writing. And through writing, so journaling, I was able to put in paper so many things. And I decided that, and I do have coaching skills, obviously, but I decided I was going to be objective, right? And so what would I say someone else if this was their life, if they made these mistakes, if they took these decisions? And when you start doing that and start looking at the situation from a 30,000 feet view, bird's eye view, all of a sudden you realize that it's not that bad, right? Like, yes, there's bad people who have done bad things, but the average human being, it's not that bad, right? Like, and having that perspective helps you move past the self-judgment, right? And I found for me also spending time with myself so I could get to know not only the bad things that we want to pretend are not there, but also all the amazing things that you have accomplished, that you do every day, right? So celebrating your wins is a great way to start liking yourself better, because self-love is one of those things that people's like, oh no, I love myself. Do you really? Do you really love yourself, right? How will you treat yourself if you actually were in a relationship with yourself? So I date myself. It's like I take myself for, a romantic dinner. And it's really like just spending time with my energy. And it's not an overnight thing, right? You need to give yourself a little bit and every day like stretch that muscle because it's a muscle.
Mm-hmm.
But I would say forgiveness is a deliberate decision to let go, whether it makes sense or not, because you know that on the other side, you're going to feel better.
Yes, yes. I have to ask myself sometimes, well, did you do the best you knew how at the time?
Mm-hmm.
Because I might know better now, but at the time, did I know better, or did I do the best I could at that moment? And I have to give other people the benefit of that doubt too. Are they doing the best that they can? Because sometimes it's hard to forgive other people. I know I had to dismiss a lady that was working for me, and then after that January 6th event in Washington, D.C., where the people stormed the White House and everything, she called me up and blamed me for it. I mean, I live on the West Coast. I didn't even know it was happening, and she calls me up and says, it's all your fault and your boyfriend paid for it and you should be tried for treason and hung. And I was like, whoa, and the only thing I could think to say to her was, if you have something to say to me in the future, please make sure it's positive, because I can't deal with this negativity in my life. But I can't even say thank you for calling. I've just got to say, I can't deal with it. And in the future, if you want to talk to me, just be positive. That's all. Goodbye. And I hung up and I sat there like, whoa, in this day and age, somebody's going to hang me for treason and it had nothing to do with me.
Right, right. And the question is, why did she get triggered? I mean, it's not your job to provide her with the tools for her to get healed, right? But just knowing that it had nothing to do with you and everything to do with whatever happened to her once before, and it just sparked that reaction in her.
Yes, and for some reason she took it out on me, but that's maybe she was still angry at me for letting her go, and so this was a way to get me, But I sometimes I just don't understand people.
Yes, sometimes we don't have to understand them. Just give them space.
Yeah, I like that. That makes a lot of sense. Now, Carmen, if somebody wanted to find out more about your coaching or your speaking or you, where would they go? Where would they find you?
Well, my website is carmenbenton.com, and I'm also everywhere in social media.
Everywhere.
In YouTube, in Instagram, in Facebook, at the Carmen Benton. And my podcast is Living Intentionally with Carmen Benton, and that's everywhere too.
I like that, living intentionally. I like that a lot. And I was delighted when I saw you were from Panama. I've been trying to get in Panama for about 5 years. Right about the time the pandemic happened, I had tickets to Panama. And of course, we had to cancel because of the pandemic. And then we had to cancel because my boyfriend was sick. And then we had to cancel for another reason. So the years have gone by, like 3-4 years now. And I've got to use my ticket to Panama before November. So when I saw you were from Panama, I went, oh, isn't this exciting? Maybe she can tell me a little bit about where to go and what to do.
Absolutely. We should have a coffee chat.
Yes, we'll have a coffee chat.
I'll tell you all about it. It's a beautiful country. I left Panama after college and I went to grad school. And so it's been a minute since I lived there, but all my family is there. And yes, it was hit very hard by the pandemic. My mother actually is here visiting from Panama at the moment, and she hasn't seen the children since before the pandemic. So
Oh,
it's
oh.
been it's been a while, but yeah, everything is back to normal, and it's a beautiful place. So
Yes, I understand. It's really beautiful. I have been to Alaska a few times, even in the winter. Not a place I want to go again in the winter. I'll go for Panama, I think.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you. The only good thing about the winter in Alaska is the northern lights. They are
Oh,
magical.
yes, I hear they're wonderful.
They are magical, and it has to be the winter. It has to be cold, and it has to be dark.
Mm,
So the summer is not a place to come to see them. But the
yes,
summer has their beauties too, because if you want to see glaciers, you have to come in the summer.
yes, yes, yes. Well, it's been absolutely wonderful having you on the show. I really appreciate it. And the people can find you all over social media just by looking up your name.
Carmen Benton, yes.
Yes, Carmen Benton, Benton, right?
Correct. Yes.
Yes. And thank you so much for being my guest today. I really appreciate it. And I'll probably see you Wednesday at our regular meeting.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, thanks, Carmen.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. And thank you for being with us today. I hope you've enjoyed this segment of What's Your Story? And please join us next week when we have another exciting guest for you.